Hey, welcome back, team. We're rocking it out here. We're about to do some powder. All right, that's on. Let me wash my hands.
And it takes a long time to convince the people in the offices. And that's what it takes, we have to tell everybody. And when we send everything to the corporate, thousands of people. And when you look
my cat Whistler does that.
it takes us like, here's our common law.
All right.
Where all of our courts are running.
When I was on
And you said, can you tell us
This is for demonstration purposes only.
You know what I mean?
Today, here and now, we're going to make powder.
and you know that dude Jack Smith who's trying to.
And so we have some loose leaf.
So Jack Smith got into this real ticky.
I'll put this down here, just in case.
And these answers don't even appear in the case.
Yeah, there's all those markings.
Okay.
When you're working around the
So we have some loose leaf here. And you can see that it's just kind of came in from the dry room. You know, so it has some sticks, but we haven't necessarily like sifted it for, say, like loose leaf, right? Because if you look at the loose leaf, it takes a lot of effort. We're live right now. We're live. We're filming. So this is kind of like loose leaf quality, right? Chopped, there's no sticks and stems in it. This takes a lot of extra effort to get to the chop, right? But what we're doing is we're developing a really, really fast method to get it chopped with no sticks and stems. Now, since I've made a lot of powder and I know the difference in color and quality and time, what I can do is I can get as many sticks and stems out in this quick method, right? So we haven't necessarily taken the time to fully sift it down to like a chop. But thank you very much. We're back. We're on. Everybody can hear me? This is green? We're good? Okay, good. Thanks, Cynthia. Okay, good. So what I was saying is that we have a loose leaf, right? That's really, really chopped and fine because we've taken that extra time to get it to this final product. But what we want to do is save a little time, and we know that with the process of making powder, either this large machine or even this sifting process is going to take out any of the excess sticks and stems that might not be in here. So if we have the purpose of making powder, we know that we're going to get the sticks and stems out, right? But we want to get it to a point where we're not spending, say, extra time and hours because that cuts in on our profits, but to where we have a little bit of a method where what I like to do is I'll notice that if I get them in the racks really fast, they're really green, they're really nice, they're really clean. If, say, like it's getting cold outside or it's really wet and there might be some yellows, or maybe I didn't get it in the dry room until maybe like 6 hours, you know, after harvesting it. Sometimes the color shifts just a little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, once you get it powdered, you don't really lose that color. But for this right here, you've got to be on point because everything is shown. Here, what I'm saying is that you can kind of get away with a little bit of discrepancies with the leaf, with the color. Ultimately, you're not trying to throw in yellows, right? You're trying to pick those out. But at the end of the day, we still have to keep a profit, right? We still have to keep this business running. So what we're doing is we're coming up with the strategies for making a really high quality loose leaf that has no greens and is completely sifted. We don't have to go through that process to make a powder. We can split that effort to the task that we're about to do, to where once it comes from the dry room, I decide when I look at it, oh, that's powder. Oh, that's loose leaf. So each batch that comes off the dry room is inspected by me by, okay, that rack, that'll be powder. That rack, that'll be loose leaf. because I can just see it quickly with the amount of yellows that are in it or the amount of sticks that might be in it. To save the time, we'll go either straight to powder or we'll spend the time getting that really nice green into a loose leaf. Okay, so then what we want to do is we're just using our Vitamix here, and we're just putting enough in, and I'm also taking any of the big sticks out as I'm doing it. So I'm making sure none of the really big ones are going in there. And this could just be a light method. This is for someone that's just getting started. It's a small method. The next method is our big baby here. Ooh, yeah. It's that big boy. He pumps out about a pound a minute. This is about a pound every 20 minutes.
Wow.
Okay? So then we'll put this on, and we'll put it on low. And we'll let it do its thing for a few seconds, right? So we'll let it do its thing. We could agitate it a little bit, but for the most part, we're just going to let the Vitamix do that first initial work. So we're just getting it down to a light powder. It's moving through. Then once I see that, then I go high. About that long. You're not trying to get the machine hot. You don't want to, disintegrate, dissipate, change the color. But for the most part, there. And because, would you mind grabbing me just another rag back there, Dave or Patrick? Thank you. It's just behind just straight back towards the window to the right of the sink. Yeah, just any rag there would be great. Thank you. Appreciate that. And so since we know that there's a little, just very little stick and stem, but we just saved ourselves another 30 minutes from that sifting process, right? So we're still making sure that we have a really high quality. Then the next step is to make sure that we're getting any of the remaining sticks and stems out by doing one last sift. You know how Granny had the little flour sifter to make it real powdery? We have one. We have an old one. But I really like this method here where I just kind of hit this like this. And this micron, I really love this micron. I don't know exactly which one it is, but I've tested it between finer ones and bigger ones. You'll want to test too, because you could either sift for 10 minutes because of the size, or you could let too many sticks and stems pass through because of the size. Everything that I go back to is timing to make sure that this business is still profitable for me. So I'm not making $2 an hour or $3 an hour. We still want to make $10, $15, $20 an hour. So a big part of what I'm doing is tracking my time on how long it takes to do the task, because it could either take 30 minutes or 3 hours. It's just depending on how we kind of manage our time with our tasks, because there's so many. And then from there, we have a really nice, light, fluffy powder. You can see what was taken out essentially are all those sticks and stems separated from it. But that last little sift to remove those sticks and stems saved us that 30 minutes or so from the sifting process. So that's essentially making powder. Then you have a final product that you can package. And one of the packages that I really love, if you wouldn't mind, Patrick, is a small little package, like a little one down there in the basket. Yeah. This is your first step. This is really where you just want to get to. You want to get to this. Make 100 of these. Right? And if you need help with labels, we have the templates in the members area. You can grab the template, and then you can just Photoshop or Canva or Fiverr your label and your information over top of it. This is a format, a template for you to see visually. Label goes here. Information goes here. Size goes here. Same thing with the back. You can essentially just take growmoringa.com off the top and put yours right there over top of it. And I encourage you to take the templates and grab them and make them how you like them. And we print these in a small regular printer that you can print right at home. And I use for this size, this is a 32 sheet size. So there's 32 labels on this one sheet. And we can print it right from a file, right from the computer. So that way you can get to the market very easy. This is how I started. I would make things all week, print labels all week, and then on Saturday I'd make $1,000 at the farmer's market. Sunday, another $1,000. But that's only because I had $5,000 worth of product on the table. If I went with $500 worth of product on the table, I'd walk away with $100. But because I showed up with $1,000 on the table or $5,000 on the table, I'm walking away with $1,000. So the more that you have at the market, the more they see it, and they're less likely to say, oh, I don't want to take your last one. But that's when I say, please, I'm here to take my last one, take it all. But they'll less likely to buy if they only see one or two. If they see 10, they'll buy 3. Great. Powder is very simple. I mean, once you get it to loose leaf, we have the members here that are really trying to get to this next step. And we've kind of had a few conversations where some members here are not really sure where to go, or they might have trees, and seeing the dry room is really important. What's that?
You can take that and then make the capsules, right?
That's right.
Like pretty much that's what that is.
Yep. That's right. So the next,
taking it that way.
Exactly. The next episode, we're actually going to pull the capsule machine out, and we're going to make capsules from this powder. Look how green that is. You can't get that in the store. And that's why we're actually trying to reach out to local stores to carry our product more. As now we have more suppliers, more growers, more producers, and they're helping us to keep up with the orders. And that's what we've been kind of really talking about on our own is like how all of this works, because we have a website that we share, but then we have you, the growers, who might have your own. So you're going to have a product, but you're going to have one product with our label on it and one product with your label on it. So that way you can sell it through the collective at a price, but then you can also sell your product with your label at a price. So that way there's different markets that you can get into, either with you and your brand, or if, say, like we have a farmer's market down the street and we all have all of our products on the table. We don't want 10 different labels on the table. We want one label on the table, and that's all of ours, because we'll have one designated person at the farmer's market for us, and then 10 of us just go drop off. Mm-hmm. Alex and I, we met at the farmer's market, and so we can appreciate how much work and energy goes into getting ready for the whole week. So what I'd like to see is one person that's really just the man or the woman at the booth, and they didn't do anything all week with Moringa. They might have had their own job or whatever. But then the growers are coming in, they're already tired from the whole week of making. So then having to do a market on a Saturday is like it kind of even brings my immune system down a little bit, because I've already been up all week. Then on Saturday, I might go an all-nighter Friday night making just to have $5,000 on the table on a Saturday, right? But as a way to help us out all together, we have one person that's fresh and perky and the salesperson that's at the table ready to sell, while 10 of the farmers are coming in and dropping their product off, but they all have it all labeled the same. It's congruent. And that's a collective style of being able to sell together as a team. But then you might have your own booth. You might have your own table with your own labels and your own other products. You might have a little moringa, but you might end up having pepper, or you might end up having the other things that you guys like to grow on the side. Pineapples. We've been talking about peppers and all kinds of little things. What was the other thing that you wanted to grow too? You were saying that you have something else, bananas, or what else was it?
I have a lot.
A lot, right? What was the second? What's your second? What would be your number 2 after moringa?
Elderberry.
Elderberry. Number 3?
Would be my second.
Number 3?
My number 3.
Yeah, not yet. Haven't found it out yet. You're still kind of deciding.
Stinging nettle would have to be my number 3.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I love stinging nettle.
Wow.
I'm a huge.
That's huge.
nettle fan, but I would say bee propolis.
Okay. Yeah, Alex
I
here.
would have
He's
to
a
go
beekeeper as well.
outside of the range of plants.
Yeah.
Propolis would be my top.
Well, that's how I started my business, was just getting my top 5 plants. you know, so if, you know, because I had a nursery, Robin has a nursery, and so one of them is moringa, then say like my number 2 is aloe, you know, and now that I'm kind of getting into the guilds and learning what grows well with moringa, I'm kind of even structuring what I sell outside of moringa based on that guild that grows really well with moringa. So the guild that we've kind of come up with is moringa at the top, peppers in the middle, strawberries and mimosa and beans at the bottom. That could possibly vine as well. And then flowers along the side like borage. So pest resistant flowers, a vining ground cover, nitrogen fixing, fruiting with the strawberries and the mimosa. The next tier up, you've got, say, peppers, and I'm really loving our tincture that's mixing with it, because it's like I was already coming up with this moringa pepper strawberry guild. I didn't come up with it, actually. One of our growers in California, he's doing it right now. He's on his way to making $1 million a year just from his one greenhouse with these 4 plants, because he's got moringa at the top, he's got the peppers and in the middle that he's harvesting and selling. Then he's got the strawberries, ever-bearing strawberries coming up all year from the bottom. And then his...
Well, somebody mentioned to me, like my son, not this one, another one, said, Mom, just put a towel or a face cloth or something over the top to keep it all in. And I'm like, never thought to do that. I know, right?
Maybe we should get.
We're back?
You know, those screens. when you're
Yeah,
frying
I wanted to
stuff.
show you the sifter that's built into here.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that'll work on dry goods.
This has an automatic sifter already in it.
Oh, wow.
So the automatic sifter is already in there. So this catches all the big sticks.
Oh my.
And this is actually the filter. This is actually where the powder passes through. So this micron size here is going to determine the fineness of your powder. So we have a really small hole. And
Is it a centrifuge? Like it spins and that's what.
yes,
shifts it?
yes, this spins. And you just want to make sure that that is on there. Some powder is coming out. It's all good. But yeah, after about a half a bin, I end up having to stop the machine. That's about 10, 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes, not even. And open this thing up, and then all the sticks and all of the branches, which I've tried to already pull out as much as I can, right, are just left in here, which leaves an extremely fine powder on the back end of on the finished job of this machine. I mean, it's nuts. I was so surprised, because I thought, even I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have all this powder, but then I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to sift a lot. But then I was like so happy to see this, like, what? It's built in? No way. So it's built in, and it works really well. You just have to make sure that it's really clean, and that when you close it, the seal is actually really tight, because otherwise all the powder will be coming out of here. Now, we did find out that we were, banging on this thing to get the powder out of it, which actually caused a micro crack in the seal down here. So I actually have to pull this out. I've got to weld that back together, because right now this machine just makes a cloud right now. But we'll easily be able to just take these screws off and pull this mechanism out and just weld it and fix it and seal it up and then put it back. And it should be really clean from there. No powder should be getting out. But it's just because sometimes powder gets stuck up in here, and so we'll bang it. But what I realize is I think the banging of that has caused a crack on that little seal that happens right underneath here from this that goes into here. So we're just learning. You got to be careful with your machines. As much as they're big, hefty, hunky, they're still those sensitivas. And so this is a really, really great machine that's been helping us scale up a lot.
Where did you get that?
This actually was one of the members, and he was transitioning his operation. He bought it for $2,500. The shipping was $3,000. straight from China. And so he bought it straight from the manufacturer. And so we're trying to get it to where, say, maybe we could buy 10 or 20 or even a container ship and bring them over at a price to where then we could offer all of our members at cost price, to where it's a lot cheaper that way. That and forming a relationship with a manufacturer or a company that already has them at hundreds of them at a warehouse, say like in Georgia, like how I got the pellet machine for a really good price because it was already in the USA, but they had already just brought it in from China. Same thing that I'd like to find is a manufacturer or a distributor that has 100 of these already in a warehouse somewhere here in the USA. Then we would partner with them because they're already got the partnership and the deal with the manufacturer, and so we could still get a pretty good deal. I mean, that is still having another man in the middle, but at least we could form that relationship to where maybe there's an opportunity to get even them out of it over time. So we're trying to build our relationships up. Before you know it, we may have a direct, relationship with these kind of companies. It's big time, big time. So thinking about sales and the way that we think about sales, have about 6 or 7 revenue streams, one of which is the tools and the equipment that we use as a team. Because we're only going to be able to keep up and say yes to the big orders if we have hundreds, if not thousands of people like us that are making it at their farms. So that way we can pool all of that together for big orders. Because I get big orders every day. Questions, hey, can I get a container ship? Oh, I just need 100 tons. Or I need a ton a month. Like, I'm getting these calls. And I say, yeah, once our members have trees that are producing that we can supply you. Oh, well, why don't you just go buy a ton or a container ship from India? Well, that's just not our gig. We want to grow it locally here in the USA and create the manufacturing and the industry here. Yeah, we could go buy kilos for $5 from India. Or we could grow, produce, manufacture kilos and sell them for $100 ourselves. So there's a way to, if you don't want to do any work, buy it from India. But if you want to be a part of the process and be a part of the quality and be a part of the story and be a part of the business, and that's what we're creating here, an industry and also economy and jobs. We want to create jobs. That's what all of our new farmers are those new jobs for the economy. And then they're making and creating other jobs because once we have the oil, then we've got now cosmetic companies that are able to pop up because they're buying the oil from them and they're making cosmetics.
Yeah, Moringa's getting really hot on
Yeah.
the market.
Oh, yeah. It's like the turmeric 20 years ago. It's like turmeric from 20 years ago. Turmeric 20 years ago was like nothing, but then it just started, boom. So thanks everybody. Thanks for coming in and checking with us. We'll be back in about 30 minutes or so, and we'll do capsules together. All right, great.